Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Glove Love podcast. Today, we are very honored to have legendary maker Jimmy Diresta on with us today. You can find him on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, even Netflix. He's got his own little Netflix show going right now. I believe it's called Making Fun. So how are you doing today, Jimmy?
I'm good. Thank you. So this is a podcast you've done several episodes of?
Yes. We just rebranded it, actually. So you're the second.
Great.
You're episode 2 of the new name.
Oh, that's great. That's really smart to do that. Obviously with this day and age, we all have to brand and make sure that, we're doing our own marketing, because if you don't do it for yourself, no one's going to do it for you.
No.
Yeah.
And then
go ahead.
And then also today we do have Chuck James here from GPS on the podcast. He's sitting in, decided to come on. He can also be found on LinkedIn and Twitter. Chuck James, how are you?
Well, doing well. I appreciate you having me. I'm a little starstruck right now. I can't believe I'm sitting here talking to Jimmy Diresta. I have no words.
I'm easy to get along with. So
awesome.
Yeah, no.
So I know we kind of got started, Aleah, and help me stay on track here. I'm going to rely on you for that. I know we started to talk a little bit, and Jimmy Diresta has. I don't know if there's a thing that this guy can't do. I have seen him tear a bandsaw apart and redo it. I have seen him blacksmith, woodwork, paint, sign make, channel letter. I don't think that they're weld. I don't think that there's a thing that he cannot do. I know he's worked with some pretty big names. This old house, he had a building and shop built by R&R.
Yeah.
I mean, he is, if it's been around, that's been iron, wood, or paint, he's been involved in it somehow. Very well respected guy in the industry. Helps people, and this was one of the reasons why we wanted to talk with him and share his story, because the amount of things that he does for other makers, the amount of things that he does for other up and comers, the things that he can do for someone that might be starting out has been absolutely incredible.
Oh, so thank you for noticing.
Well, and it's really cool to see that there are great people out there still. And, there are different things that bring different great people together. And after watching you for several years do the things that you do, it's, utilizing your platform. I mean, you've got almost 2 million YouTube subscribers. You've got almost 900,000 Instagram followers. And
220,000.
I'm sorry, 220,000. You have, it's a lot.
I would like that many. I just don't want that lie to go out there.
It's a lot. I apologize. So
yeah, no, it's okay.
To use that platform for good, for helping other people, this is our story. This is the Glove Love podcast. This is what we do too. Whether it's a high school kid trying to get recruited to go play college sports, or a senior in high school that's worked for us unloading containers, helping them navigate getting into college somewhere or finding a trade.
Yeah.
So we are on the same wavelength with that, and have a ton of respect for you and what you do.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I remember my excitement when I was 20, 18, 19, 17, 16 years old, when I would be hanging around with somebody with, bigger means, bigger access to stuff. And they'd be like, yeah, you want to take that bucket of Bondo, go play with it. Or, oh yeah, this tombstone welder, I don't use it anymore. You could have it. I remember that as a kid. And I remember how excited I was to be like, oh, we got like 4 extra sheets of plywood. You could take 2 if you want. I'll give the other 2 to my brother. Like, I just remember like that being such a help when I was a kid, when I'd hang around. There's a couple of local builders that I would occasionally hang around with or get to know. And, just when people would just pass materials to me, old tools, and I just knew what a big deal that was to somebody that, with lesser means or lesser experience, to know what to ask for, know what to shop for. I remember seeing somebody with, like I said, an old Lincoln tombstone welder. And then when I was able to get my hands on one, going and asking somebody what the hell this was. Right. I was a little kid. I was 13 in 1980, and there was no internet. You just had to go, and like my brother John jokes, he says, that drug addict that was sanding the side of an auto body car, those were our heroes growing up, because those were the guys. They would smoke cigarettes and drink at lunch and fix do auto body stuff. This like crew of guys near us, they were probably 25, if we were 13, and to us, they seemed so much older. And, yeah, there was still, and at that age, we were still coming off of the hippie era, like, so you still had guys that looked like, they were in like Woodstock rock bands, and those were our heroes growing up because they did auto body work, welding, metal forming, stuff like that. And there was no internet. So you just had to go and seek this stuff out. And then, of course, growing up playing with bicycles and mini bikes and motorcycles and stuff.
How close are you to New York City? I see your videos sometimes where you're in the city.
Yeah, well, I grew up 18 miles from Midtown, 18 miles. So it was very congested cutting through Queens. So it seemed like a lot further away. Now I'm in the countryside. So it's a 20-mile ride to Home Depot, which I take in, 15 minutes because there's nothing up here. There's no congestion. But to go from where I grew up to Manhattan, which is like, it was like 18, 20 miles. It seemed like you were, traversing the entire country because it's like a million turns, million red lights, just because you're driving directly through Queens, which is very congested. But we did spend a lot of time in Manhattan when I was a kid. We could also, as little kids, we could hop on the railroad. When I say little, when we were 13, 14, we could hop on the railroad and end up right in Times Square, within 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So that was fun. But by the time I graduated art school in 1990, I got an apartment in the city in 92. So from 92 until just this past summer, I've had an apartment in the city. I finally got rid of my apartment. I bought my house in the country 16, 17 years ago, just as an investment. I thought maybe I'd keep it for a couple of years and then sell it for a profit. But it became just such a love affair with just coming up here every weekend and fixing it. And then when Taylor, my girlfriend, came into my life 12 years ago, together, we just started repairing. We rebuilt this kitchen. We rebuilt was one of the first things we did together.
It looks very nice.
2012. Thank you. Yeah, Taylor designed and did it all. She's amazing. I mean, she designed it and I did it all.
Well,
how did you leverage with no internet in the day?
Yeah.
How did you leverage the New York City environment, the New York City hustle?
It's funny. I being in the city, there's so much opportunity. I kept a crazy business card, which I don't happen to have anymore. It was an X-ray of my brain, and it just like I changed the verbiage, like the doctor verbiage in the corners, like it's in this X-ray. It's all this like doctor speak. I changed it all to my information in the same fonts. It says Jimmy Diresta, builder, designer, a phone number, an email address, and I would see a bar in construction, under construction, and I'd walk in and I'd hand my business card to like 4 or 5. I go, I don't know, who's the owner? The owner's not here. Well, give him my card if you guys need any built-ins. And I did that all the time. Like anytime I was walking past the place, or I'd see a place under construction, or, places would sit abandoned with the for rent sign. And then one day you'd have like butcher paper in the window and, somebody's giving it some love. And I would walk in and I'd say, if you guys need any built-ins, any furniture, give me a call. And I drummed up a lot of business that way. And some of my early YouTube videos of me doing stuff just for people that I developed relationships with, just like that.
It's funny that you say that because when I first started in 2003, one of the things that I did, and if you can believe this, Aleah, one of the things that I would do is in the evening, at the time, my girlfriend, now my wife, we would pack envelopes with a flyer and a pair of gloves in them.
Oh.
Yeah.
We would put those in because people would shut their drive-through windows on us. We would put those envelopes in mailboxes of the Burger Kings, the McDonald's, the, whoever's of the world. And we got I want to say like 15 or 20 accounts doing that. And it kind of started to snowball from there. And that was, very, very early stages of using emails and things like that.
Yeah.
We obviously didn't know YouTube. We didn't know Instagram and things like that. That type. I think MySpace was available back then, maybe. But we were very door-to-door type things, and then we started to talk to some bigger groups, and it's kind of snowballed from there. And to think of some of the groups that we're working with now and the national chains and things, it's to think that we were passing out envelopes similar to the New York City deal for you. It's very neat to hear how people get their start, and I was just curious how you had to have leveraged that New York City environment.
And then, one thing I always say, and, this is just straight up customer service, even now with my website stuff, I don't always get the personal customer service opportunity. Occasionally I'll meet somebody at a show, or I'll get a direct email and then they'll tell me, whether they had a problem or just whatever. But when I was working with interior designers in the city, I would always go above and beyond, over deliver early, deliver under budget. There had been times where all of a sudden you're underwater on a job, and I would just say, you know what, I've done so much profit with this person. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut, power through it. I don't want to be like the last time I ever talked to them is me arguing over money.
Mhm.
So a lot of times I'll talk to friends and they'll be like, I'm so underwater on this job. I'm like, you know what, finish it, get through it. And the next job you'll have 300% profit.
Yep.
It's a look at the year. Don't look at the minute by minute. Look at the year. When you look back at the year, you go, man, I had the best education that I ever didn't expect to get on that job, where I lost my shirt, but I learned how to do something that, so I always look for the good in stuff. Never complain. Don't ever explain. If somebody says be there, if I have to do backflips to be at an appointment on time, I will do that. Like I will literally like run through the door like Kramer from Seinfeld and be like, hey, but they have no idea what it took for me to get there on time if I screwed up things on my end. So I always want any of my clients or my customers to always be like, the last conversation we have is, I'll get it done. And then I deliver it exactly when I said, or even earlier, under budget, always. And like I said, if I'm over budget, that's my problem. I keep my mouth shut. So dealing with people like that and just making sure that they always know that when they call you, you're gonna get results. They're gonna get better than what they expect. And no matter what it is, like I said, when people call and say, oh, the ring broke off my ice pick, I'm like, all right, I'll send you a new one. Actually, I go work it on a different shape. I'll send you that one too. So I give them what they paid for, then I give them a little bit more, always give them a little bit more than what they want.
We always try to challenge each other as a team here, whether it's in service or warehousing, or even a simple task is the tracking information on an order. We're always looking for that additional value that we can add before, after, during, whatever you want to call it, of the sale.
Yeah.
And we're here to solve problems and keep people safe. And sometimes you can make something work with that, and sometimes you can't. But we take a lot of pride in that, and we take a lot of pride in taking care of people, including our own. Yeah. And so it sounds like we're cut from the same cloth in that regard, which is cool to hear.
I have friends and they have difficult times in business, but then they do all these things they say, like they make a million excuses why something's not going to be on time, or, well, I said I was going to use this metal, but I have to get, I'm like, don't even tell them any of that. They don't have to know it.
Right.
Just deliver the finished product. They don't care if it's made out of this type of steel or that type of steel.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get, you don't want to be, you just don't want to be a hassle, basically is what it is, and if there is a hassle, you just conceal it. It's your hassle to deal with, which is why, like, it's funny. I was giving a friend of mine advice. He was trying to come up with he's kind of half in it mentality. He's half in the corporate world, half in the independent world. And so he was trying to come up with a price for somebody, like a monthly consulting fee. And he's like, well, I'll charge them this for gas and that. I go, why don't you just charge them an extra $300 a month and then just never tell them how much gas costs, right, and how much travel. That's just a sticky wicket for them to deal with. You're an independent contractor. You deal with all that yourself. Just give them the number that you really want. Because, right, he was kind of like, he was hedging up, only out of insecurity. I said, just tell them the number you want. And if they go for it, then everything, your expenses, your travel, your time and energy is all included in that.
Yep.
And he said, wow, that's a great piece of advice. And he went and he said what he wanted to say because he was afraid to, and he did. And they said, okay, no problem.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So like people, like he felt like he needed to itemize all this stuff to justify it. I'm like, no, I said, you're bringing 40 years of experience to this guy's job.
Right.
That's it. That's all he cares about. He doesn't care about anything else.
How do you, and I know that I have to see things. I'm not the creative type like my dad, his friend, Jimmy Diresta, mm-hmm. my team with Aleah and Celeste in our media department. How do you manage being so creative? And my mom is also very creative in that regard. She can see things that I can't. My wife is like that too. How do you manage the amount of ideas and concepts that go through Jimmy Diresta's brain on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? And how do you prioritize that?
This is just a box of cutoffs from the printing press room. So I just take them and I bring them and I write, this is what my brain looks like. I do little tiny notes on stuff, mm-hmm. and I don't keep them in any order. There's notes written on both sides of the card. Every time I grab a card, I'm like, oh, I thought it was a new card. Oh, wait, it's not a new card. It's the old card. And I
So
just,
do you play instruments, Jimmy?
not anymore. I used to. So every once in a while, I'll stop and I'll read all these gibberish scribbles that I write on these cards. And like I said, they're in no particular order. I do try and keep a journal. And it's a bit of, I'm a bit of a scatterbrain, but when I focus in on something, I'm very OCD in the way that if I begin something, I have to finish it. And so it looks like I'm super organized because I actually complete most of the projects I begin, like probably about 98% of the projects I start, I finish. And so
It's
people
like the
see that in me.
Diresta decimal system instead of the Dewey Decimal System.
It just scribble notes on everything.
That's
And a lot of times I'll take a picture if I know it's important. I'll photograph it, and then when I'm like out and about, and I'm like, I got to remember that thing I drew. I look at my pictures, and there's a picture of it.
That's incredible.
That's kind of the way I work, because I've noticed, like, when I do graphics and all that sort of stuff, like, I was laughing because I have a notebook right here off screen that's gigantic, and it just has scribbles all over it.
Yeah.
And they're color coded, and I somehow know what that means.
Yeah.
And then I finish everything that I do. But if Chuck or the other media department people look at it, they're like, what is that?
Yeah, right.
It's like, that's my project. So I have to design all that.
I also kind of
wondered
have
that.
a lot of times I'll write it down just so that my eyeballs will see me writing it, and then I have a different sort of memory associated with it. Because if I just think of it and I'm kind of building it in my mind, whatever it might be, like for instance, this morning, the video's not done yet, but when you'll see the video ultimately of me making truck bed sides for my flatbed, and I want to do a tailgate that hooks into place. And I was going to do hooks like this that, are cut on the plasma table, and I was going back and forth. I'm like, then that'll leave like a weird hook in space if I don't have the tailgate on. I don't want the hook to bend. And I was going through all these versions of it in my mind. And this morning I woke up with a completely different idea, and I drew a picture of it. And, on this piece of scrap paper, I don't even know where it is actually. And I drew a picture of it, but that's just so I could visualize it in my mind. And then now it just kind of solidifies it. So
That's incredible.
ultimately that new idea, it's going to be like a pipe sliding over another pipe. It's like a hollow pipe with a slot in it sliding over a pipe. So there's like, everything's going to be, you'll see it. It's going to be fun.
So speaking of cars, I saw your Cadillac.
Oh yeah.
On the Instagram. Do you actually, I know you do all the painting and everything, but do you actually know how to like do all the mechanicals inside with the engine as well?
I'm a very practical mechanic. I know, you need spark, fuel, and air to make an engine run. And I'm not the type of guy that I've always been jealous of. Like my buddy will hear a car engine running up. Oh, you got to adjust this lifter. You got to do that. You got to do that. It smells funny. You got to adjust the fuel air mixture. I mean, I know when things are really off, but I'm not good. Like a lot of times people hear a car and they go, oh, the timing needs to be adjusted. I'm like, I don't know. As long as it's running, you can tell when something's misfiring, obviously, but I've never been that like, I'm not like a precise surgeon, but I can take the top end of a car apart and put it back together. I think I never had to, but I've gotten pretty deep, but not that deep.
My dad's the type of guy that can rebuild a car from scratch and go, oh, well, that's what I did wrong. And then my boyfriend actually is just starting to get into that world, but I laughed when you said your girlfriend is the designer and you make it happen.
Yeah.
Because I kind of do all the research for the guys in my life. I help them figure out what's wrong with the car. I do all the research and the manual reading, and they make it all work.
Well, it's funny. It's really funny because we just built this travel trailer, and Taylor's like, how can I help you? I go, just figure out what an electrical system is, figure out what a plumbing system is. And she found all the manuals, and she put together the Amazon list of $4,000 worth of stuff to buy. And, she loves doing that. And for me, like right now I want to build an electric go-kart, and I was going to ask her research an engine drivetrain system, figure out what the battery capacity should be, what the motor should be, and the rheostat for the triggers. And she'll figure all that out.
Wow.
And she'll just like give me the list. She goes, buy all these things. And then when they show up, then I'll figure it out.
Which is going to be my next question for you, Jimmy. What obviously you have a lot of different resources in your shop.
Yeah.
What's your next thing that you're trying to do? And then beyond that, what is something that you've never learned how to do or know how to do that you want to learn how to do or know how to do? Or what project? What's Jimmy Diresta's dream project?
Well, I was going to let Aleah finish your thought. I wanted to hear where you were going.
My apologies.
You're
Yeah.
good. I mean, I'm just more or less like, it gives us something to do because
Right.
I can't count all the times that I'm sitting there while my boyfriend, for example, is working on his car. And he says it's done in 2 hours. I'm like, no, it's not. It's
4
done in
hours.
2 days, maybe. I'll see you in 2 days.
Right. That's
So
funny.
it's-
I'm guilty of that.
The
But
research gives me something to do.
well, I tell everybody in my world, I'm like, if you want to have a successful relationship, and I believe me and Taylor have a successful relationship, get somebody that does what you like to do. Taylor, like that welding table I just got shut up, and Taylor's like, that's mine. You're not touching it. You know, you're not going near it. That's my table. I'm going to weld on. And so she welds. She always wants to learn a little bit more machining. Occasionally she does a little printing press stuff. So, you know, she has varied interests from mine, but it's all in the maker universe. So that's really great. So that's what I tell people. You want a successful relationship in this world, get somebody that does, you know, is like-minded. I mean, obviously completely opposites also attract as well. But when, you know, the person is waiting for you to finish doing mechanics and they can't keep themselves entertained, you know, it's always, it's going to be a problem. You know?
Yeah.
My dream project's coming up this year. I just bought this incredible welding table. And well, I did a trade out for Strong Hand, and they make incredible products. And so I'm going to promote their table. And I've been wanting to make a go-kart. So I think one of my upcoming projects is a go-kart, an electric drivetrain go-kart. And I also ripped up last summer, and I still have to finish this video. I ripped up my whole front deck and rebuilt my front deck. It was built probably 80 years ago, really underbuilt, and it was always bouncy. And anyway, it was falling off the house. So we rebuilt the whole front porch, and I have all these cedar slats that were on the tongue and groove slats. I'm going to take that giant pile of tongue and groove slats with 80 years worth of paint on them, clean them, strip them, and I'm going to turn them into a rowboat. So that's another project this summer that I want to do. So if I can get the go-kart done and the rowboat done this summer, that would be fantastic. If I just do those two projects, I think I'd be happy.
Wow, that's incredible. So if there was another piece of equipment that Jimmy Diresta does not have right now, what would that be that you would want in your shop?
Well, did you see what I just got now? That's why I was 10 minutes late. I'll show you. I got the crazy. I just got this. I don't know if you guys use any of these in your manufacturing. I just got like a 1930s Bliss die stamping machine.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's on my Instagram. We're trying to figure out, and I do a lot of this. I do reverse engineering where I'll get a tool like that, then I'll figure out what to make on it. And everybody thinks I'm nuts, but I'm like more attracted to the process than I am to the product.
Mhm.
So I'll get that, and I'm going to think of something that we could use that machine to make. I might go, you know, there's a lot of laser cutting services these days, so I'll get something laser cut, and then I'll do like an extra action on it on that machine, whether it be like a steel branding or something. But I'll come up with something.
Incredible.
But
Well, we are
that's the
getting
fun.
well, we are getting our little time warning here. So
Okay. Oh yeah.
So I'll go ahead and start to wrap up. We do have our little we have a little certificate and a little bit of a little box of appreciation we're gonna send to you
Oh,
for
thank
coming
you.
on today. We like to support the
Thank you.
people who support us. So
Thank you.
that's why we're in the barbecue community and all sorts of different communities.
Sure.
We love people supporting other people, and that's just what
that's
we're all
great.
about. So we're
Let
gonna
me
send
ask,
you that.
are you guys near Cleveland? How far away from?
90 miles.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not so bad because I'm supposed to schedule a trip to Lincoln Electric for welding, and I'll probably drive there. So maybe if I go to Cleveland, I'll come visit you guys too.
The door is wide open
Yeah.
any day, anytime for Jimmy Diresta.
Now, let me ask you, how much do you manufacture in Ohio, or is it just shipping and receiving?
We just do shipping and receiving here.
Right
So
on.
we do a small amount of assembly.
Mhm.
We don't, you know, there's not a lot of places. We try to use as much USA made items as we can.
Right.
A lot of our cut gloves are made in the United States, but none of that's done under our roof.
Right.
The place that I would love to share and show with you is our Oregon division, where they cut and sew really high-end rainwear.
Oh, nice.
So they bring in rolls of product and materials. They cut and sew that. They have the giant cutting machine that cuts material. And then the other division of that branch has Oregon Glove Company, and they bring in Obviously the Pacific Northwest has a lot of hunting, elk,
Sure.
deer, things like that. They bring in raw hides and then send them to a tannery.
No
bring that
kidding.
product back, and then they cut and sew really high-end leather driver gloves there.
Oh, wow. I got to go to, I owe the guys over at Oregon Trailer a trip. So when I'm in Oregon, I'll let you know and we'll go.
Yeah, they would. I'm sure that they would love to share
Do the
that
round
story
robin.
with you too. But yeah, all of our stuff. But you're welcome to come in anytime, Jimmy. The door's wide open for you.
Thank you, Aleah.
Love to meet you.
Of
Would
course.
love to introduce you to my dad. I mean, he would be. I'd have to give him a couple days notice though, so he could prepare for this.
Okay.
But he would be very, very happy to meet you.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Check out Making Fun on Netflix.
Yes.
It's funny, silly, stupid show.
I was trying to watch the first couple episodes a few days ago, and I was really interested in it. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for watching. It's so stupid. It's ridiculous.
It's awesome.
But that's some of the most fun stuff, right?
It is. We had a great time. It was like the best summer camp that we all experienced, and we're really hoping we get a chance to do it again. But it's up to the audience, so we'll see where it goes.
And that's Making Fun on Netflix.
On Netflix. So we did 8 episodes last summer. Well, from exactly a year ago, we started April 14th last year. We went till July 3rd, and like I said, we're hoping to see if we can do it again.
Awesome.
Of course. That'd be so fun to just have as like an ongoing show.
It would be.
That'd be cool.
It was fun. Just to act like an idiot all day long is great.
All right. Well, you can find Jimmy Diresta on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, pretty much all over the internet. Just Google the man.
Thank you.
Then you can find Chuck, Mr. Charles James on LinkedIn. You can find him Chuck James on Twitter. And otherwise, GPS is on Instagram and pretty much everywhere else. We got a TikTok. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for coming on. And thank you, Jimmy, for taking time out of your day. I know you're getting your brand new equipment, so that's super exciting.
Thank you. If you guys hit me up for anything you guys need. And by the way, as I walked in, your package was here, so thank you for that. Taylor Small gloves. And
then I believe, yes, this will come out in April. So currently, Diresta fans, you can use the code Maker15 at checkout.
Oh yeah, I got
for
to promote that
15%
today.
off.
I got to promote that today. Remind me. Okay.
All
We're
right.
good.
Thank you for taking time with us, Jimmy. It was a pleasure
Of course,
to
sir.
talk with you.
Absolutely, guys. Reach out anytime. If you guys have any ideas, crazy ideas, let me know.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. I'm going to leave.